You're on the bathroom floor, head throbbing, a cold compress limp on your forehead. The world is a dull ache. And there, in the doorway, is your dog. Not hovering over you, not whining, just sitting, perfectly still, watching the door. Then you, then the door again. Every time you shift, their head tilts. It's the same look they give when the mailman approaches. People say it's because they sense you're sick and want to comfort you, or that they're anxious because your energy is off. Both feel true, both are wrong, because the researchers who have spent the last 2 decades studying this have ended up with a description that sounds almost nothing like either one. And once you hear it, everything looks completely different. In 2016, a team at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest set up a simple, brilliant test. They had owners pretend to be sick, coughing, sneezing, lying down, while a stranger was also present. The dogs didn't just rush to the sick owner, they did something stranger. They looked at the sick owner, then at the stranger's face, then back. They were checking, not for comfort, but for information. The control variable was the stranger's reaction. When the stranger remained calm, the dog relaxed. When the stranger looked concerned, the dog's stress spiked. This isn't empathy, it's referential looking, the same behavior a toddler uses when they fall and scan a parent's face to decide if it's a big deal. Your dog isn't feeling your pain, they're asking you to interpret the world for them. And right now, you're the one who looks sick. So they're asking, is this dangerous? Tell me how to feel. The how is in the eyes. A 2020 study from the University of Vienna tracked 60 dogs with eye tracking tech. When an owner acted ill, 87% of dogs engaged in gaze alternation, looking from owner to a neutral object, then back. This isn't random, it's a functional request. The dog is using you as a social tool to reduce their own uncertainty. The two studies connect perfectly. Budapest gave us the why, information seeking. Vienna gave us the how, a specific, measurable gaze pattern. In daily life, this means when your dog sits by the door while you're sick, they're not being needy. They're performing a low-key diagnostic ritual. They're using your stable presence as a reference point to calibrate their own nervous system. You are their living, breathing mood ring. Now look at your own home. Who does your dog follow more when you're under the weather? The person who always knows where the leash is? The one who feeds them? Research on behavioral predictability shows dogs track the human who provides the most consistent, reliable information about the environment. That's often, but not always, the primary caregiver. A 2024 study from the University of Florida added a twist. Dogs were more likely to check in with a human who had previously correctly identified a threat, like a strange noise. It's not about love, it's about track record. So if your dog follows your partner more when you're sick, it might be because your partner is the household's designated interpreter of weird stuff. This behavior is a strategy. It's the canine equivalent of checking your phone for a weather alert before going out. Your dog is low-key outsourcing risk assessment to the most competent human in the room. This strategy is written in. In 2019, a massive genome-wide study from Princeton and the University of Washington pinpointed a cluster of genes related to social cognition in dogs. One gene, OXTR, oxytocin receptor, showed dramatic variation from wolves. Wolves don't do referential looking. They either fight or flee alone. Dogs, however, have a version of OXTR that makes them hyper-attuned to human facial cues and prone to checking in during ambiguous moments. This same gene cluster is linked to social referencing disorders in humans. It wasn't learned, it was selected for over 15,000 years of domestication. We bred dogs who looked to us for cues, and those dogs survived better. Your dog isn't just following you, they are the living result of an ancient, deliberate partnership where their survival depended on reading your face. The behavior is inevitable. It's the core of the contract. But here's the critical line you need. Normal social referencing has a clear off switch. A 2022 clinical study in veterinary behavior defined the difference. Normal behavior stops when the ambiguous event ends. The dog checks your face when you cough, sees you're calm, and goes to nap. Problem behavior, like constant frantic shadowing that persists for hours, even when you're resting peacefully, is a sign of generalized anxiety or insecurity. The test is this. After you've been sick in bed for an hour, does your dog eventually settle, content to be nearby, or are they glued to your side, panting, unable to relax even when you're still? Following is a feature of the bond. Persistent, unsoothable vigilance is something that needs attention. You're on the bathroom floor, head throbbing, and there, in the doorway, is your dog, sitting, still, watching the door. Then you, the door, you, the door. They're not comforting you. They're not anxious. They're running a centuries-old diagnostic protocol. They're using your face as a sensor to decode a confusing world. Every tilt of their head is a question mark directed at you. Every glance at the door is them waiting for your signal, safe or not safe. Your stillness is their data. Your calm is their all clear. This is the highest compliment. They trust your interpretation of reality more than their own senses. Your dog is following you because something was written into it specifically so that it would. Now tell me in the comments, when your dog does this, what's the one thing you thought it meant before today? And subscribe. Next week, we decode the one sound your dog makes that's actually a full sentence.